My idea of what they call a whiteboard presentation. Okay, now what I'm going to be talking about is the life cycle of insects. Pretend like this is water, okay? Now, what we got going on here with insects, which waterborne insects are probably, I said waterborne insects are 90% of a trout diet. Now let's just say this is a bug up here like this, okay? And what they do is they lay eggs back in the same fishery that they were born in. Eggs, okay? Now it might take a couple of months, it might take 6 months, it might take whatever for these eggs to turn into what they call papa. Okay, that's just part of the cycle of insects, okay? And after they go through that popule stage, what happens is they'll crawl out here, if you will, and they become what you call a nymph. I realize this is looking really, really ridiculous, but let's just pretend like this is a little nymph right here. Okay. Now, what these nymphs do is they'll hide in and amongst the rocks and stuff like this. Let me erase this for a second. And sorry about the noise, because I am right along a place called Mill Creek up here in the Absaroka Mountains, but I wanted to get in a kind of a shady spot because I knew I couldn't do this any other way. So what you've got, let's just take, kind of reaching over top across this camera, and it's making things a living nightmare, let me tell you. But let's just take your level of your water like this. Now what ends up happening is these bugs called nymphs. Now let me draw a picture of a rock here and a little bit of grass and whatever have you like that. Well, what these nymphs do once they get old enough is they'll start crawling along the bottom, and as soon as they get large enough, they get discharged or dislodged, if you will, from the rocks in the bottom of the stream and whatnot have you, and they'll start getting swept downstream. And that's why I say that a lot of a trout's diet is nymphs. And like I say, what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, is life cycles, okay? And that's what these insects do. But as they go through this nymphal stage, what happens is they start becoming what they call an emerger. I'll just put an E right there. They start becoming an emerger, and then they'll go right up here on top and become what they call a dry fly or a spinner, okay? Now, once they're in the dry state and whatnot have you, and this could go on for a few weeks, this could go on for a few days, whatever have you, but they simply deposit eggs right back into this fishery again, and we start all over again. So what we're basically talking about is life cycles here and stages of insects. That's the essence of fly fishing. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to mimic either that dry right there, this crazy nymph that I had drawn over here, this emerger over here. You're trying to fit into this cycle somehow, some way. So that's really it in a nutshell. The life cycle of insects starts right down here at the bottom of the stream, so to speak, like this. And like I say, we're in an egg state. We go into a papa state. Then you go into what I just got done explaining, a nymph state. But the thing of it is, most of these insects, they want to become dry flies by default nature, okay? And as they're rising, and they're turning into a dry fly up here on top, that is what all fishermen or fly fishermen are looking for, and it's called a hatch, okay? And that's right in here is when these flies get picked off, or in the emerger state, or in this nymphal state, over there like that. You see what I mean? So, and like I say, this cycling, it just keeps on going year after year, month after month, day after day. There's hundreds of thousands of insects. Okay, you take like mayflies. There's 800 mayfly species alone. There's 500 caddis patterns. And so, that's just all there is to it. I realize this is kind of a dumb explanation, but and I know that doesn't make any sense, but it's all about the birth of an insect down here in like I say, just pretend like these little marks right here are eggs, and they turn into this pupa, they turn into nymphs, and then they turn into emergers and spinners, and they turn into dry flies right here. At any one given time, them trout are they're feeding on these insects. And like I say, there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these insects in this life cycle that's going on. And that's all you're trying to do as a fly fisherman, is mimic either a nymph, a dry fly, a spinner, a merger, or whatever have you. And there you have it. And I realize that was the most ridiculous drawing I ever made in my life, but I'm having to reach around this camera, so let me give you this little parting shot here. I am at up at a place called the West Fork of Mill Creek. You know, some of you folks may know where this is at, and some of you probably don't, but I had to get myself way away from people because that's what I do. But anyway, let me turn this camera around. I hope you learned something there. You probably didn't learn anything, but it's all about insect life cycles, and like I say, the popule stage, the egg stage, the nymphal stage, and then the emerger stage, the spinner stage, and then the dry fly, and then it starts all over again. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the essence of fly fishing. That's why us fly fishermen do what we do. Thank you very much for watching Movie Files.